TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Settle. Hard days, no way with a heavy metal. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop. Come on, take me higher. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time of the week as we are going to be talking Paris and Olympics again with Andrew McInnis of WagerTalk of McInnis Picks. Earlier this morning, Travis Geiger, CXO of WagerWire, live from Paris as we were at the Rugby 7. Travis took us all around the stadium. An amazing 40 minutes. We're going to try to do a show every morning from Paris as we're living through his eyes. But Andrew talked to me backstage. We were going to do a show yesterday, and doing what we do best, we talked for an hour and 15 minutes backstage. So now we're having the show here. So first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsorships, WagerWire. If you haven't downloaded the app, head on over to Google Play, download it. It's free. Great app to have to add to your portfolio, your daily arsenal. So honestly, if you haven't downloaded it, please do so. And if you want to join the amazing team at WagerWire, send an email to affiliate at wagerwire.com. Tell them JD from ECSI sent you. And the last video, another partnership and sponsor with ECSI, and that, of course, is Viva Tequila Beverages. Head on over to your sports book, casinos, bars, sports bars, package stores. Order one up. Tell them ECSI sent you. CT Bets and the crew there are amazing. So, without further ado, this hour's men's beach volleyball 2024 from Paris expert, Mr. Andrew McInnis.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
In a good mood, Jeff. In a good mood. We spoke yesterday, and like we said, we didn't end up going live, but maybe it's a good thing. I'm feeling a lot more fresh today than I was yesterday after the weekend I had in Toronto. So got to see 2 games, had a little hard reset day yesterday, and back to work, back to the grind today. So I'm ready to attack the MLB second half. CFL, we're sitting at plus 1.1 units. Not satisfied, but I'm not hanging my head by any means. You know, we're here. We are in week 8, and at this point, this is where you can kind of take advantage of the books starting to focus on college football, NFL, and this is where I start to attack the board. So, I survived the wave of the first few weeks of the CFL. We'll get it going, and you mentioned volleyball, men's indoor 2024 Olympics. I've got plays, so I'm not going to be one of those guys betting on water polo and synchronized swimming and, this and that and javelin throwing. I'm going to be just on the volleyball, and everything else I'll be having fun watching, but I can't wait to cash some tickets.
Well, and we're going to get to the CFL later. The one game that I caught my eyes on, a team total, it's already moved. They must have had that brain following me. I was looking at Saskatchewan, whose team total was 21 and a half, juiced under, and I liked the over. I was like, they're going to get to 22 or better at Montreal, and it's up to 22 and a half now, juiced over. So they must have been reading my brain, but that's okay. We'll get to that sooner than later. The indoor volleyball for the men's here. I have the futures up before we break down some matches. Mr. Aman and Helvig from Sweden are the favorites at even money at plus 100. Mr. Mole and Sarum from Norway plus 400. Wanderlei and Stein plus 1,000 from Brazil. Perisic and Schweiner from the Czechs plus 1,200. The board is long here. Anything jump at you or?
I think you might be at the beach volleyball. Is that true or no? I'm at DraftKings right now. Just the countries I'm looking at. You
okay?
Yeah. So I'm not sure where to find volleyball. Let's see. We'll get on the same page here. Right near the bottom there. Volleyball, Olympic volleyball M.
Okay,
so,
hold on.
We'll get there.
So,
we'll get there together.
Well, you take it from here, and then I'll find it. How's that?
Okay. So, yeah, this is the indoor men's league. And what's funny about this, Jeff, is that the men's volleyball just wrapped up the Nations League. So, obviously, they have all these qualification tournaments. But the fact that they do a Nations League tournament right before the Olympics, it's kind of funny because, you're thinking to yourself, these guys are all going to play each other. And all of a sudden, we're looking at this and it's the exact same teams for the most part going up against each other in a whole new competition. But for me, I'll look at a couple different plays here, but we'll start with futures. And I'll say that there's one team that sticks out to me, and it's Japan. And they were 10-1, and now they're down to 8-1 to win the entire thing. And the big reason here, Jeff, that why they're my only real long shot, so to speak, they are the number 2 ranked team in the entire world, but they're 8-1. The numbers aren't making sense. Things aren't adding up here. And I think the main reason being is that Poland, France, and Italy, it's pretty much a battle between those 3 teams. I was on Sports Grid talking to Morency, and he said, if we take Poland and Italy both at those prices, we could probably make some money because it's most likely going to be those 2 teams. But I'll tell you, Japan is fresh off the VNL, the Volleyball Nations League finals, and they lost. They went all the way. They had a great semifinals, great quarterfinals. They reached the finals and they lost, yet they present themselves at 8-1. So to me, that's a really good one. And they have a lot of vets and experienced players. But I'm going to say my pick to win it all, which I'm actually seeing at DraftKings now. They were number 2 ranked. Now they're number 3 as far as the odds are concerned. We're going with the Italians. Team Italy to win the entire thing, the men's Olympic gold medal in the indoor volleyball competition 2024. To me, they're the most well-rounded team. The setter on their team has been there for many years, several Olympics under his belt. They're a team that has the ability to turn defense into offense. They can extend rallies. Their blocking is what I trust the most, however, and they have a lot of big guys that can shut teams down. And obviously Poland is that top dog, but I think Italy is the next best team. So when you look at these numbers right now, 5-1, you look at the form that Italy's coming in. I mean, they were the ones that played against Japan in the finals I just mentioned at Nations League, and yet here they are 5-1. So, look, I could come here and say, Jeff, Poland, number 1 team in the league, they're the favorites. We're going to take them to win. I got to give you a couple longer shots. So we'll go Italy and Japan as our 2 future plays here for indoor volleyball.
And I did get on the same screen with you. I was giving out some beach. And so, again, we are live on DraftKings. Follow us along. Olympic Volleyball 2024 men's. Poland plus 350. France plus 400. Italy plus 500. USA plus 700. Brazil 800. Japan that you talked about at 800, Slovenia plus 900, Old Canada plus 1300. Give us a little preview of Canada.
Canadian volleyball has really progressed. It's the game continues to grow here, but to me, that they just don't have enough depth at the attacking position. Their setter is strong. He's far experienced. I've actually had the privilege to have been on a Zoom call with him before as a coach, training and learning from a guy like that. But to me, they don't have enough attackers. And the thing is, it's actually a very similar thing to what the coach of the Team Canada soccer coach said in the Copa America, Jeff. We don't have enough depth, he said. Our players are tired, they're gassed. And in volleyball, it's actually a sport where you don't typically use that many subs. When I do my broadcasting with college volleyball here in Canada, we see, 6-on-6 is what it is. You got the libero, who's the designated passer. Then you see one or two subs come in. But in the Olympic volleyball, with how many games they play, they're going to be using a certain amount of players. That's a lot more than it would be if it was a regular match, in these Nation League tournaments or exhibition matches, so on. So the thing with me is I think they're lacking depth. They're lacking the power. They're going to heavily rely on one or two players. And here's the deal. It's with volleyball, it's kind of similar to this, and I'm sure you'll like this comparison, Jeff. It's kind of like in football when you notice you've got, like, let's say a rookie cornerback, and so the coach is calling plays for the receiver to keep attacking that guy. That's how it works. So if an attacker is constantly getting all the sets, then everyone's going to lean towards him and try and block him. If there's a weak blocker on one side, the coach is going to tell the setter to keep setting to that side and expose that weak guy. So you hear me talk about depth in every sport that I handicap, but if there's one sport you really need it's volleyball. And that's one thing I love about playing this game, and I'm actually playing a game in 2 hours, is that you need everybody. You can't have one weak player on the court, because no matter how hard you try to hide them, they're going to get in action. I think Serbia is a good long shot as well, actually, Jeff.
Saturday, the games begin. There's Japan versus Germany, Italy versus Brazil, Poland versus Egypt, USA versus Argentina. Anything on Saturday that piques your interest?
So typically I will say I'm kind of an underdog bettor, taking teams plus the games or plus the sets. For people that aren't familiar, volleyball is pretty much the exact same as the betting style as tennis. It's first to 25 points, and it's best 3 out of 5 as far as the sets are concerned. So it's very hard to sweep a team. It's very hard. Doesn't matter how strong you are, Jeff. Winning 3 straight sets can be very difficult. But what I like to focus on, very similar to what I do with my tennis betting, is the totals. And I'll look at the set spreads. So I'm going to give you 3 plays, rapid fire here. We're going to start in reverse order. We'll start with the world number 1 against the world number 10. That's going to be Egypt versus Team Poland. And look at this here. The under 3.5 sets, Jeff, minus 475. The minus 2.5 sets is minus 445. So what are we going to do? We're same thing for the way that we find the team totals, the way we look at the first 5 innings in baseball, right? We're going to look at the under 130.5 total points in the entire match, expecting this one to be an absolute onslaught. Look, I like to bet underdogs. I like to bet the plus 1.5, plus 2.5 sets. But this is one of those ones where you're going to see 25-11, 25-12, 25-13. And when you're betting this low of a number, you're betting the fact that this is going to be 3 straight sets, of course, but not even just 3 straight sets. It has to be 3 straight sets where the other team doesn't even reach 15 points. So that's one of the ones I like. And I was talking with Morency last night, and one thing that you can do is you can bet exact score, 3-0 exact sets. Italy, Brazil, again, over 3.5 is minus 200. Italy is minus 245. As you know, that's a team that I think has a chance to win it all. I like the 180.5 over on points in that one. I think we're going to see at the very least, 4 very competitive sets. As much as I told you I like the Italian team, Brazil has so much firepower. And, it's hard. Like I said, it's very hard to clean sweep a team. And when you've got two teams that are ranked relatively close to each other in the, the power rankings and as far as the future odds are concerned, this 180 points, albeit it's 50 more points than the one we just mentioned to the under, we're looking at 4 sets to be around 25-19, 25-22, in that range. 4 competitive sets. I think that gets us over 180.5.
So does the plus 1.5 on Brazil minus 105 intrigue you?
It does. It does. But at the same time, I do think if I was to bet this, though, Jeff, actually, I think it does end in 4. So what I would rather do than the plus 1.5, I'd rather look at the spread on the where's the game lines? Plus 7.5 total game. Or I keep getting confused with tennis. Total points plus 7.5, because I do think that the game ends in 4. The match ends in 4 sets, but I think they're all very competitive. So I think that the better option would be to play the points plus 7.5 versus the plus 1.5 sets, because I don't think because when you bet plus 1.5, you're betting for them to win or lose in 5. Yeah.
So again, the plus 1.5, there's the brain fart there on my side. Apologies. Thinking women's tennis, first one to win 2 here, it's 3. So therefore, the 1.5, if they have 4 great sets and they lose 25-24, 25-23 3 times, and they win one, well, my plus 1.5 goes out the window.
Right. And leading me to the next one, we've got Poland, Japan versus Germany, and Japan heading into this matchup is on an 8-3 run as far as beating teams in at least 4 sets, 3-0 or 3-1. The biggest thing to me is Japanese with Japan. They're blocking. The Japanese game is built on structure. It's built on unison. The way that they're blocking is just it's a volleyball player's dream to be able to be on the exact same page with your players. Jeff, when I coach volleyball, I'll have one of my players on the right side. They're about to go up, and the guy next to them is on the way down. Like, it's so much harder than you think for it to have 2 guys communicating to go up at the exact same time and down at the exact same time. This Japanese team has the ability to turn defense into offense. I feel like Germany will struggle because some teams are so good in short rallies. They're kind of like power teams. Japan is so good in long rallies. If you told me the rally had like 5 or 6 back and forths over the net, I would say Japan was the better team. And that's why I think they get the job done minus 1.5 games. But don't worry. I'm not going to be just the guy playing the favorites all tournament. Like I said, I would look at Brazil plus the 7.5 there. I apologize to your American audience, but if there was one underdog that I actually would take a look at, it would probably be the plus 1.5 on Argentina against Team USA.
And you can grab that right now on DraftKings at plus 120. You covered the Saturday board. I know there's 2 matches on Sunday. Have you taken a look at that, or was there anything that caught your eye on Sunday?
I hate to do it to my Canadian family here, but I think that you take a look at that game. I think Slovenia gets the job done. I think you find yourself a dance partner. If you don't like the minus 215, you want to bet the exact score, maybe 3-1 for Slovenia. I think they get the job done over Team Canada. I have faith in the team, but one thing about them is that when they get in a rut, I've seen it before. I watched their exhibition games. They go down, let's say 13-4 to start the match. They don't recover very well. They're better at just trading points, but when they go down, it's very difficult for them. Like I said, they lack depth, lean towards Slovenia there. And as far as the first game, France-Serbia, that's going to be an exciting one. I think that Serbia can hang with them. Like I said, Serbia is going to be a good long shot. They're known for their volleyball. It's just, for me, France kind of has all the power. So potentially look towards the over in that, try and see some points. I don't like the minus 280 on France, so maybe we can try and figure something out with Serbia. I haven't looked at that game yet.
Well, I'll be back on your channel on Friday as we take a look at maybe some movements on this and keep an eye on that. And then obviously when you come back at the start of next week with us here on our channel, we'll be able to go over these matches and then see how it's progressing to the next round there. CFL, when I was doing some research and homework, correct me if I'm wrong, week 7 or week 8?
8. Time flies.
8. I'm just like, where did the 2 months go? I mean, we were talking about Elks over 6.5, and I was starting to wonder if that meant coaches fired or but again, Hamilton, hats off to them. Find a way, get off the schneid. The Elks are sitting there now winless. What'd you see last weekend?
Well, I saw the fact that the Edmonton Elks. I'm gonna give them a break on one thing. They keep on getting steamed up, which doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, we talked about how when I first started talking CFL with you, Jeff, you could follow the steam, and it was exactly right. You could make money following the sharp money. Not anymore. The Sharps are taking the Elks every week, and they're losing people money. But I don't like defending players because I feel like they're so privileged to play a professional sport that I don't like when they complain too much. But McLeod Bethel Thompson wasn't happy. They played the Sunday game 2 weeks ago against Ottawa, and they traveled to Ottawa. They had to play the Thursday game. He'll probably get fined again. 3 players got carted off the field, Jeff. So maybe he has a case for himself because there wasn't enough training time, resting time, whatever it may be. But Ottawa gets the job done. They get the best of them. What else did we find out? The Calgary Stampeders are covering machines. 6-1 ATS now, I believe. 5-1, 6-1, I believe is the number for them. They keep on covering those point spreads. I was asking you last week how important we think the bye weeks are because it was like maybe hovering around 500. Well, Hamilton sure looked pretty good off the bye. Maybe it's because yours truly was in attendance, but it's a huge but there. A lot of like fumble recoveries, pick sixes, that kind of stuff. Like I'll tell you, when they were winning in that game, Jeff, they were up 17-0. The whole stadium, you would have thought they were up 3-0. The stadium, they would have wanted like 27-0 so they could have faith because the defense is so bad. They only end up winning 27-24. And what else did I realize? Winnipeg. It's time to start realizing this is not the same Winnipeg team they once were. That's for sure. That is for sure. They've got 1 cover ATS, and they've got 1 game that's gone over. This offense is not the same. The quarterback is not the same.
Going back to the Calgary game, I was on the grid, sports grid, and I was talking with Joe Madden and Scott Wetzel about this game. And you know what really irked me, and we've been talking every week. Calgary, if you let them hang around, they're just like that ward or whatever that won't go away. They just hang around, and if you let them hang around long enough, they're going to beat you. And the sad thing is, late in that game, a reception by Calgary and a fumble, and we fall on the ball. And it was almost like he was trying to get up, and the ball just squirted right out.
Just lay on it. Just lay on the ball.
So it is what it is. We're into another week here. Tomorrow night, Saskatchewan travels to Montreal. Montreal, as you were just talking about, -3, -112. Saskatchewan catching a field goal, -108. Under/over of 47 and a hook. Juice to the over, -112. Montreal -162 on the money line. You get Saskatchewan +136. Team totals currently right now: Saskatchewan 22.5 juiced over, -25 cents. Montreal 25.5 juiced over, -25 cents as well. This Montreal team, I thought I had a good read on them. I do think I have a good read on them. But I'm going to ask you this question. Does this smell to you? Because it smells to me.
The line movement bothers me a little bit, Jeff. But I'll tell you, maybe I'm going crazy. Maybe it's going to haunt me because at the start of the year, I talked up Saskatchewan to you quite a bit, right? And I made money on them at the start of the year, but I've been eager to bet against them. And the funny thing is, if you take a look at the records, the 5% play I had 2 weeks ago on BC is I think maybe one of the one or two ATS losses Saskatchewan has all year. Even with the injuries, new quarterback, they hang around. They find a way to win games. This one's interesting because you've just got a game of injuries. Caleb Evans, the backup quarterback now. Both these teams have a quarterback now on the 6-game injured list. Saskatchewan's without a linebacker. They're without their starting running back. So when you say to me that the number looks weird, we talked yesterday, I wanted to jump in on -2, 2.5, 3. And the problem is to me is that even though I tell people that follow my plays to subscribe to an all-access package because we're going to get the best numbers, I don't want to rip people off. So I see when a line is just going crazy. I can't give it out and then expect someone to get off work 3 hours later and get 2.5 points difference. I'll feel too bad about that. But now the line has settled down at 3.5, and it makes you wonder, how much do they value the injuries for Saskatchewan? How much do they value what they've done? I think we're on different pages. I know you like Saskatchewan more than me, but you've seen the team totals and you've cashed with them. But the thing is that if we take a look at the Rough Riders and who they've played and kind of how they've scored their points, they played the Tiger Cats twice. They played the Elks, a Bombers team that's not very good. And then when they played the Lions, they lose by 15. So in any game that they've played against a respected opponent this season, I think it hasn't really looked the same. So I'm actually leaning towards the Alouette side here.
No, and again, I see the movement back and forth, and again, the Saskatchewan team total over 21.5 at plus money really caught my eye initially. That was the first play that caught, and now at 22.5 juiced over at 25 cents. I can't, as you just said, I can't release to the ECSI VIPs. Well, I got Saskatchewan at 21.5 plus money, but I want you to play it over 22.5 minus 25 cents. I can't do that.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem with CFL. It's good and bad, but you've got people that are middling and doing this and doing that. But if you're trying to send out plays to subscribers, you want to be able to tell them how great it is that we're getting the best of the number. But if the number is moving while we're typing it out, then you kind of feel like a jackass if you know they're going to get a different number than you actually gave out, But I'll tell you what, Jeff, this really is, and I've said this a few times, and I even though I'm only +1 unit on the whole season, I've had a good read on these games. I think this is the how good are you really game for Saskatchewan. And let's not forget, Montreal's off a bye as well. And after they lost their first game of the year against Toronto, they get a bye week. So they get to have all that time. And you know what's really nice too, we have to consider, is imagine going into a bye week with a new quarterback versus having to play 5 days later with a new quarterback. This guy's had a week and a half to prepare. Even though they just told us yesterday, or I guess most people today found out, the team has known that Fajardo's not going to play. You know how it is? Like they're announcing it to me and you now, but the team has probably had this quarterback, Caleb Evans, taking first-string reps for probably, what would you say, a week now?
At least.
They're not fooling us.
No banana in the tailpipe here, guys. So Friday night, Calgary travels to Ottawa. I'll pick them right now on DraftKings. Under over 51 juice -110 both ways. -110 both sides, obviously on the money lines. Team totals both at 25.5 juiced over -120. The way I read this, first one to 27 wins, walk-off field goal 27-24. How's that sound?
That sounds good to me. That's a team that likes to be in close games, that likes to hang around, that's involved in lots of overs too. They're involved in a lot of close games. They're hanging around a lot. But, man, this team loves to trade points. I'd agree with you. The question is I have, too, with Ottawa is, what would this point spread be if it was week 1? Because Calgary's impressed me more than Ottawa's impressed me. I find you were saying to me that first game we talked about is a little fishy. To me, this one seems to be the fishy one. I know you give a little bit of an edge to home field, but Ottawa just played Edmonton back-to-back weeks. They defeated Hamilton. Like, imagine if you looked at every team's record right now minus Edmonton and Hamilton and let me know what the record is, right? That's kind of how I feel about Ottawa.
Well, I'm glad the way you brought that up, because in my eyes, reading the market, I'd respect Calgary here -2 and a hook. Right, as well as Calgary has played, as well as they've hung around. A nice upset win last weekend at home. Got fat over it. Reading the press clippings, and now a pick'em at Ottawa. To me, reading this right now, I would have to lean Ottawa or nothing.
Yeah, that's the thing. And the thing is, how much do we care? Like, I really like Calgary overall. Like, I've been wanting to bet on them, and it seems I've been kind of guilty, I guess, Jeff, a little bit of overthinking this season. And I think sometimes, though, when I do find these spots I like I liked Hamilton last week, mentioned it on the show. You know, you like Toronto the week before against Montreal. Those are always cool to pick, to make those picks. You know, you're betting against the team that hadn't lost yet. Then last week, Hamilton, you're betting on a team that hasn't won yet. But this scenario is very weird because I want to bet against Ottawa, but the number is weird. And so the question, I think the only thing that we could say that would be in the cards here would be the travel. Because Canada is a pretty big country. It's a big country, and there's a lot of traveling. You know, you're not traveling from one state to the next. You're crossing, you know, West Coast to East Coast, and that could be Ottawa played a home game last week. Now they get to have a team come visit them again, except for this time Calgary was out west, and now they're coming east. So that could be a factor. And also, if we want to use this term, we'll see how it goes. A lot of people don't like using the term letdown. But, hey, Toronto, they beat Montreal one week, lose to Hamilton the next. Well, what's going to happen when Calgary beats BC one week? Are they going to lose to Ottawa the next? You know, that could be the question. But I lean to the over in that game. I think Ottawa still has some weapons. I'll tell you what game I like the under in, though, and that's the Winnipeg game. 49.5. Do they think this game's being played in 2020? 2021? I don't know, because Zach Collaros looks like a whole different guy to me. They've got injuries, and if you look at really the ATS standings, the over-under standings here, with this Winnipeg team, they've only had one game go over the total, like I mentioned to you. And Jeff, looking at the numbers for them at home especially, but 1-6 ATS, 1-6 over-under. And they look at Toronto, they're dead even 500 as far as the over-under. I saw them in person, though, and I'll tell you, it's the exact team. The people in the box were probably tired of me saying this. All that Cameron Dukes does is throw the ball 10 yards. Every time. I mean, I swear to God, I could be the quarterback for the Argos on half their plays. Don't clip me on that, please. But, I mean, all he does is drop back. He sees a target 7 yards ahead of him, makes the throw, and the guy gets the first down. It takes them like 8 minutes to march the field for a drive. If there's no turnovers, which is what happened against Hamilton, which is the only reason why that one went way over. Like I said, there were about 17 points off turnovers. There was a kickoff return. Those are stuff that are hard to handicap. I think this one sails under. I think we see a lot of field goals, a lot of punts. I think we see a lot of running game, especially from Winnipeg. I'm not sure where that 49.5 is coming from, Jeff, but I really do like that under in Winnipeg.
Yeah, the Winnipeg team total 23.5 juiced over -125. Toronto team total 25.5 juiced under -25. So again, they got this written. I think it's probably a 24-21 game. 24-20 game. Winnipeg is just a shell of themselves compared to last year, and their offense has been horrific. So I even like their team total under the 23.5, and you can get that at +5 cents. The Sunday night special, and I'm going to tell you this out loud. They put these Sunday night games that look like it's popcorns, pom-poms, and overs. And here's one of your specials here. The winless Edmonton Elks versus the one-win Hamilton Tiger Cats. Edmonton, as usual here, favored by 3.5. Under over 53.5. Edmonton money line -170. If you Venmo'd me $100 to wager on Edmonton's money line, I'd Venmo you 200 back and tell you to take Lindsay and Henry out.
I was going to make the same comment and say right now the cost of buying a house in Canada is very difficult. But if you've been betting against the Elks for 8 weeks, you might be able to buy a house because this team just continues to prove people that they're just not a changed team. The only thing I will say, Jeff, is that they fired their head coach and they had the shortest turnaround ever. They should have fired their coach during the bye week. That's the time to do it, right? No. They want to fire their coach on a Sunday when they have a game on Thursday. How many different things do you think the coach was able to instill into the team? Not many things, right? All he was is a new face. That's the only positive thing you're going to hear me say about Edmonton. Look, the number is 53.5. It's going to be the highest total we're going to see. It could go even higher. BC Calgary last week, I had a play on the over. I thought that was great. Live total was 60 at one point. My whole point being is that it's hard to get over 53.5. Need a lot of things to go right. And I know we've seen high-scoring games from both Hamilton and Edmonton, but this is the be careful game of the week. You talked about it yourself. People are going to be lining up to bet the public dog, lining up to bet the over. I'm going to say this, and I don't know if I'm going to get burned 3 straight weeks in a row. The time that Edmonton gets their first win of the year, Jeff, it's going to be when they're a favorite. It's going to be when they're a favorite, I think. And some people will say no, it's going to be against a team randomly one day when they're an underdog. Hamilton was up 17-0 last week. I told you I was there. They didn't deserve to be up 17-0. They caused a lot of turnovers. There were pick sixes. There were fumbles. If Hamilton plays how they played last week against Toronto, I think Edmonton's offense could put some points up on them. But I hate to say this. If there's only one way I'd play this game again, Edmonton first half. I don't want them for the full game. Edmonton first half might be the only way I'd go.
Only way I jump in on Edmonton this week is over 27.5, team total minus 20 cents. I don't care what the defense does. Let's go have that shootout. But these Sunday night games, they just don't seem to get over that total. I'm sitting. I like my Sundays, family day, as you know, decompress, getting ready for Monday, and throwing on the CFL game and enjoying it. And nothing better than a back and forth, but it always ends up being a grab ass, and you're sitting there over 51, over 52, over 53, and the final score is, 25-24.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll talk on Friday if I have any more opinions, and maybe I'll put some props in that game. But as of right now, where we're sitting, that's the game I have the least amount on.
Scroll has been going the whole time. Everyone here, standing room only. Thank you guys so much. If you haven't already, head on over to YouTube. East Coast Sports Investors, subscribe. It's free. While you're over there, make sure you get over to Andrew's YouTube channel as well and subscribe. No I in team, but it is in win, grin, profit, and family. So me and Andrew have been doing this for a long, long time. Please share the experience with all your friends and colleagues as well. Head on over to WagerTalk Sports Mayflower. But as I always do, I give you that sharp 7-yard button hook. Tell everyone what you got at WagerTalk.
Jeff, capacity crowd here in Cape Cod. Like you said, I love that. Standing room only. That makes me smile. But tomorrow, I've got a big play in the CFL, but we're also on a $5 customer appreciation day. So I'm going to have some plays out for the weekend, just $5. So you can look tomorrow to get my favorite play on Thursday Night Football in the CFL. But you can also join me for $5 and get some other plays ahead of time. We got a big UFC card on Saturday night. We also have a great deal going right now. If you join me for my entire NFL season, you pretty much get the rest of the Major League Baseball for free. Limited time only. If you want to join me, we're doing props, sides, and totals, future bets. I'm doing a lot of live videos, free content as well. But if you want to join me for the NFL, you get the rest of the baseball season for free. If anybody knows me from last year in baseball, the second half of the season is where I was the most active. Everybody else starts focusing on other sports. That's when I think the market is the most, beatable in the Major League Baseball world. So looking forward to a great weekend here, Jeff. And again, $5 customer appreciation day tomorrow at WagerTalk.
Go find Andrew at WagerTalk, the best in the business. We'll be back on his channel Friday, usually at 3 o'clock, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. At 5 o'clock Eastern, my time, Tea Time Wagers with Brady Kannon. We'll be recapping the Open, Xander Schauffele's second major win. We'll be talking Xander versus Scheffler for Player of the Year. We'll be breaking down the 3M Open, as it will be a birdie fest for sure, as the Big Four from the U.S. will be at the Olympics, so they will not be there as well. And then at 6:15, Scotty Webb in the batter's box, breaking down today's MLB games. So from myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one and only Andrew McInnis at McInnis Picks at Wager Talk, wish everyone a blessed afternoon. See you at the driving range at 5 o'clock. See you soon.